Bill Carroll, Zenny60 Media, and I'm working my way through, of course, the draft class. And while I have gone on record saying that draft grades are silly and meaningless, at least for about 3 years, it is true that that is true. But you can look at value and look at a draft and sort of see who got great value. The Ravens getting Malachi Starks at number 27 overall is great value. I felt like there was only one surefire multiple Pro Bowler amongst the safety class. I think there's several good safeties, but that player is Malachi Starks. And now the Ravens have him. So enjoy that, people who have to play the Ravens. Then Nick Mamori is a tremendous, well, he's a good football player, first of all. He's not a first rounder, and for good reason. There's holes in his game that had to be figured out, but super talented. The Eagles got really good value with getting Andrew Makuba. This is a player who was a big-time recruit, had some really good but also some sometimes inconsistent play at Clemson, comes to Texas and sort of refines his game a little bit. He can play both strong and free. Starks can do a little bit of everything. Starks can play in the slot. Starks can play deep middle. Starks can play deep half. Starks can play wherever. And Murray is more of a project. Probably will be a strong safety at first, and we'll see what. He's a guy who can walk down close to the line of scrimmage, but he can cover. I'm not saying he cannot cover, but he's not as developed. Makuba is very versatile and has good range. Kevin Winston Jr. is a hammer. Probably the guy was born maybe 22 years too late, but he'll still be a fine player, just somewhat limited. Now, I want to admit up front, I am not at all able to be unbiased or objective when discussing Jonas Sanker. I am, in fact, myself an ordained minister in the Sankerite Church, and I've come to bring you the gospel, the good news of Jonas Sanker. If there is a player drafted at the safety position outside of the top 100 selections, who I think has a chance to be, or almost outside, if he's picked 993, so outside of the top 50 selections, who has a chance to be a star, I will not be surprised at all if he turns out to be the second best safety in this draft class behind Malachi Starks. He can hit. He can track the ball. He's a really good athlete. He has size. I just feel like he's a very versatile, terrific player. I think the Saints have a starter quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts before his rookie season is over. And once again, he can play either. He can in the slot a little bit, strong or free. Then we come to Xavier Watts. A lot of the same things I've said about Starks, but less athletic. He's essentially super smart, plays with anticipation, tough, communicator, high football IQ, just not super athletic. Then one of my favorites. My second favorite sort of bargain of the class to me is Mr. Craig Woodson. Great ball skills, occasionally can take the cheese, can be moved out of position because he's so aggressive. But those are things that can be coached out. I won't be surprised if he ends up being the third best safety in the class. I really like him a lot. Billy Bowman goes at pick 118 to Woodson went to the Patriots, and Belichick will have loved him because he loves smart football players. Then we come to Billy Bowman Jr. Worst case scenario, you're getting a person who may well lead your team in special teams tackles for 4 years. He's got some limitations, but he is, once again, a thumper, aggressive and tough, fairly athletic, but not fantastic in traditional coverage usage. But if you make him into a true sort of rover, you might get something out of it where you just sort of give him opportunities to clean up things. But he can be exposed at times. Then we come to Lathan Ransom. Once again, smart and tough. Some limitations in terms of what he can do as a football player, just because he's not an incredible athlete. And eye discipline can occasionally be an issue for him. But I think he's a down-the-road starter for the Panthers to pick 122. A lot of safeties in the fourth round, right? Total of 5 safeties went in the fourth round. Then we come to Malachi Moore. A lot of people had Malachi Moore near the top of their safety rankings coming into the season, and I do understand why. There's materials to work with. He has some of the components you look for. I just feel like he's going to end up being that big nickel third safety. He'll come in certain situations. I don't know if he ever becomes a full-time starter, but he'll be a contributor. And once again, probably a great special teams player. And Next up, and this is a player that I thought of as a corner, maybe a slot corner, but he was announced as a safety, so that's a question mark for me. We'll see how it works out because, Riley went to the Saints. Malachi Moore went to the Jets. The Panthers got Ransom. So the Saints saw something in Quincy Riley I didn't. I saw a guy that might be a corner or a slot corner. They see a safety. He's not the world's greatest tackler, so that's something they'll have to work on, I guess. But he really understands ball tracking, right? Tracks the ball very, very well. Can get back into phase if he's out of phase. Good, very good athlete. Was a 100-200-meter champion in the state of South Carolina when he was in high school, and was a corner throughout his both high school and collegiate career. So he's a guy they're going to try to change into something else. Dante Trader, another one of those guys who should have been born maybe a few years ago, but good football player. Once again, maybe in a couple of years he's a full-time starter, but he's going to contribute right away. And Jalen Reed, let me get to him. Marquis Sigel from Kansas State, another transfer, right? So many of these guys have transferred, but another guy who could be that communicator in your back end. Probably will be a bit of a hybrid type player. Can play close to the line of scrimmage, can play a little further away. He's not, no one's Ed Reed, right? Malachi Starks isn't Ed Reed. There's not an Ed Reed to be had. There almost never is. But, he's not a guy who's going to be amazing, or even Earl Thomas. He's not quite that. Who's going to be amazing in the deep middle, keeping everything going, seeing everything, and reacting. I think if you give him a designated part of the field to clean up, he'll be good at it, or, once again, close to the line of scrimmage. And then we have another interesting player in Ryan Lane from Navy. Another guy who I think probably is a special teams guy primarily, but if he gets on the field, they might have trouble getting him back off the field. I think he might show some things. Good athlete. Obviously, discipline and intelligence doesn't even have to be mentioned. He's an ensign in the U.S. Navy, or about to be an ensign in the U.S. Navy. Character, obviously not, both football and personal character, not an issue. I don't know exactly how he planned to use him, but he can be used many different ways. Then at pick 214, that was to the Jaguars. To the Chargers, we have another feel-old moment for Bill Carroll as Ray Mickens Jr., the son of Ray Mickens, is from Clemson, goes to his new NFL destination. He's another guy who looks like a slot corner but plays like a safety. There's about 3 or 4 guys that fall into that category this year. I wonder exactly how he'll be used. Once again, in big nickel, he maybe is that guy who goes with the slot receiver. He's an okay tackler, but just because of his size, he's not going to be that guy who really comes down and rocks things in the box. But there's a place for him in the NFL. I think he's a guy who's, once again, eventually sees the field probably as a nickel, frankly. If you're in a situation where he doesn't have to carry routes too deep, that's probably what he does well. Katon Crawford is another. He's the last of my real steals amongst this class. He's a guy who probably can even cover slots. He's a lot like Mickens, only bigger, stronger, right? All the things I said about Mickens, but a bigger, stronger guy. I will not be surprised if the Arizona Cardinals got the last of the great steals at the position, amongst the drafted players at least. I think he could eventually become a starter at either free or strong safety. And then that brings me to the Lions getting Dan Jackson. Well, of course they did. If there's a guy who's going to bite a kneecap amongst the safety group, it's probably Dan Jackson. Some of the other guys were undrafted, but he's amongst the drafted guys. He and Wohlers, the last two, are the two. Either of those guys could have gone to the Lions and been a good fit. He's a cultural fit. Smart and tough. Not amazing in, actually individual coverage. He's best served if he's in a zone. Probably if he's covering a third or a half of the field, then once again, there's only a few guys that would excel, like Starks, in being a deep middle safety. There's maybe 3, maybe 4 at the most of those guys who that's really their best use, is covering deep, taking care of everything in the back half of it, the back everything of a defense. He's more of a back half, back third kind of guy, but, solid football player. And worst case scenario, once again, a guy who's going to be a great special teams player. And then last, but certainly not least, is Hunter Wohlers. Another guy that would have been better served by being born a few years ago, but brings to the table tackling, right? Ironically, some of the safeties in this class are not the world's best tacklers. He is one of them, though. He's up there with Sanker and a couple of other guys who were really, really good tacklers. Take the right angle, drive through the target, wrap up, bring you down. You don't get any additional yardage. That's what he's good at. He's solid in coverage, but not spectacularly good in coverage. That's the safety class. Please let me know what you think. Please like and subscribe. Once again, Bill Carroll of Zinni62 Media. I have another one for you tomorrow.